name is Emily Hafer. I am one of the physical therapists at the sports medicine department in CHKD. I'm also the dance program coordinator, and I also am certified in teaching Pilates, which is why we're here today. So I just wanted to give you a brief background on what Pilates is, give you a little bit of what we'll be focusing on today, and then go right into the principles of what to expect every time you take a Pilates class with me. Pilates was originally called Contrology, which is also known as the complete coordination of mind, body, and spirit. It's now known as Pilates because it was named after a gentleman who created it. His name is Joseph Pilates. Today, I'm going to be teaching you the principles based off of the curriculum that I learned through, which is called Polestar Pilates. It was created by another physical therapist such as myself. The main difference between Polestar Pilates and classical Pilates is that in classical Pilates, you spend most of your time in an imprint or a posterior tilt of what is called your pelvis. We just use Polestar a lot in the physical therapy realm because our focus in PT is to manage everything that you do on a daily basis in a neutral spine, but classical Pilates is just as great too. So whichever curriculum you want to learn through, you're going to be getting great benefits for your movement throughout the rest of the day. So let's break it down into all of the principles, and then we'll move on to another Pilates class later in the afternoon, all right? So the very first principle we're going to talk about today is breathing. Breathing is so important for everything you do in daily life, and it can also help exercises become easier or sometimes challenge them depending on the way you're breathing. So what I'd like you to do is find a mat on the floor, and I want you to come down to your back, okay? The very first exercise that we'll be working on is called a pelvic clock. And what I want to do is I want to teach you how to find your neutral pelvis first, and then we'll go into the exercise. So what I want you to do is bring your thumbs and your finger together so you make a triangle, okay? From here, what you're going to do is you're going to take the base of your thumb, the really fatty part, and find those hip bones right in the front of your pelvis. That's where your thumbs are going to go. I'm gonna get anatomical here, so work with me. You're gonna take those fingers then, and you're gonna find your pubic bone, all right? From here, what you're going to do is you're going to imagine like there's a clock sitting right on top of that hand placement. And then with the 12 o'clock position will be up by your nose, 6 o'clock will be down by your toes. You're going to imagine like there's a marble sitting right on top of that, and I want you to tilt your pelvic clock backwards towards your nose to roll your marble towards your nose. When you do that, you will realize that your fingers come a little bit higher than your thumbs, okay? From there, you're going to tilt towards the 6 o'clock position. You will notice that your thumbs rise higher than your fingers. From here, I want you to incorporate the breathing. So when I breathe in, my rib cage expands. So here, when I breathe in, it's going to want me to go into this position. So to do the opposite, I want to breathe out and tilt my pelvis backwards. Breathing in will help me tilt my pelvis the opposite direction. So this is how you can utilize breath to work on the pelvic clock exercise. Now, to find your neutral, what you want to do is perform that pelvic clock a few times until you find that your thumbs and your fingers are in a flat plane. They're not like this, and they're not like that, okay? So everybody's neutral is a little bit different, and you can always come back to this position to test to see if you're a neutral, okay? So breathing was the first principle, and we talked about that a little bit. Now we're going to move on to movement integration, and we're going to do 100, which is a very well-known Pilates exercise. I'm going to do a modified version just because it's easier for me to talk that way, but just know that the full version is with your legs completely straight. So to get yourself situated for the Pilates 100, your hands are going to come down by your side, and your legs are going to start in a tabletop position. From here, what you're going to do is you're going to crunch up and start pulsing your hands towards the ground as you breathe in for 5 and out for 5. And you're going to continue to do this until you reach 100. Now, I've been chatting, so I've lost count. Happens frequently, so I'll try my best to keep the count, but if you want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, breathe out, in, until you reach 100. It helps sometimes if you breathe with the count because you can count a little bit easier, okay? Perfect. So that's movement integration. It's really hard to coordinate things, but it's a great thing to challenge your body and get you ready for the day ahead. The next principle we're going to work on is organization of your head, your neck, and your shoulders. So the exercise in Pilates I'm going to use for that is called the side kick. So you're going to come to a side lying position, resting on your elbow, okay? Now from here, you're going to straighten your legs out, and I want you to imagine like someone's taking your top foot and pulling you towards the wall. Now I don't know if you saw that, but I'm gonna do it again. If I have someone pull on my foot, what that does is it lifts my hips up just a little bit to put me in a much better position here in the front. Now we're gonna go to the shoulder. I'm gonna rest the hips a little bit just so I can focus on the shoulder for now. To find good shoulder alignment, what you're going to do is you're gonna kind of slump. See how the whole rest of my body just kind of slumped with it? Now what I want you to do is push all the way up. Once you get there, you might find that this is a little uncomfortable. So very similar to the pelvic lock earlier in the video, I want you to go up and down in your shoulder socket until you find the most comfortable or midline part of the shoulder, okay? That will be the most congruent spot in your shoulder. And from here, in terms of your head being aligned with the rest of your body, remember how I said we want to focus on neutral? So we don't want your head tilted too much to the side this way, and we don't want it drooping down here because that hurts your neck here, and we don't want to have to see you for neck pain, okay? Again, shoulder nice and congruent, leg lifted towards the wall, head nice in line with your body. And with the side kick exercise, you're gonna float that leg up just a little bit so it's in line with your pelvis. You're going to flex or pull your toes towards your nose and then kick straight forward. And then from here, you're gonna point your toe and pull straight back. While doing that, try not to wiggle all over the place, okay? I really don't care how far your leg goes forward. Flexibility is going to play a role in this. Point your toe, pull it back. If keeping both legs straight is too hard, you can always bend the bottom leg to give you a little bit more stability. Sound good? All right, moving on to weight bearing, okay? So we wanna bear weight not only in our legs, but we also wanna bear weight in our hands. So we're going to use the quadruped exercise, or coming on your hands and your knees, to help demonstrate this. A great quadruped position is wrists right underneath your shoulders and knees right underneath your hips, okay? From here, I want you looking down towards the floor, right between your hands. If your head's up like this, that's not good for your neck. And it goes back to our last principle of organization in head, neck, and shoulders. So head's looking straight down. Same thing with your spine between your shoulder blades. I don't want you super arched to start, and I also don't want you hanging out like this. Not good for anybody. So you want to find a middle ground, and you might find that just sitting in this position alone is a good enough exercise, and that is perfectly fine. Whatever is good for you is what's going to be really beneficial for the exercise. I don't want you working too hard, but I want a good challenge, okay? From here, what you can do is you can reach one arm forward. That's going to increase the weight bearing. On the other hand, if that's too easy, you can reach one leg back. Again, going to change the weight bearing just a little bit. And then if you really want to challenge yourself, one arm, let me do the other arm. One arm and one leg. How's that look? Pretty good, huh? Okay. The next exercise we're going to do is called axial elongation. I'm sorry, that's the principle. The exercise is spine twist. So to do this, I'm going to come to a seated position with my feet flat on the floor. Again, normal position for this is with legs straight in front of you, but I did a workout yesterday and my hamstrings are a little too tight, so we're gonna go to the modified position. So from here, arms go straight out in front of you. And then all I want you to do is open the front arm and twist. Now, you should be able to see your hand behind you. You must take your head along for the ride, or else you're not gonna get all of the rotation that you need. Notice how my spine is nice and stacked. This is where that spinal and axial elongation comes into play. If I didn't have a stacked spine, and I just kind of slumped, can't really get that far. But if I sit up nice and tall, look how much more motion I get. All right? See the difference? Now, as always, We want to do exercises on both sides so we're symmetrical, but for the purposes of this video today, I'm only showing you one side. So do me a favor and go back and do the same exercise facing the other direction for both this exercise and the side kick. So that way you're not walking in circles later today, okay? All right, the very last principle I want to talk about today is spinal articulation. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to do a standing roll down exercise. So you're going to come into a standing position, and you don't need to see my feet for this, you just need to see my back. You're gonna start nice and tall, breathe in, going back to that breathing from earlier, and then as you exhale, I want you to tuck your chin to your chest, roll those shoulders forward, and slowly roll yourself down as far as you can. Once you get to the bottom, take another breath in, and then peel yourself back up. Trying to get as much motion out of each spinal vertebrae as possible. Now, the really tricky part to this is to try not to let your bottom poke back. So that's where the articulation or the spinal movement is going to come into play. Let me show it to you again. Inhale at the top. Exhale, tuck your chin to your chest. Roll your shoulders forward. Try and keep your hips exactly where they are. Roll yourself all the way down to the floor. Take a breath in. And then exhale and peel yourself back up to a standing position. And that's that. So just to rephrase, the principles are as follows. Breathing, really important to breathe. Movement integration, organization of your head, your neck, and your shoulders. Weight bearing through your arms and your legs. Axial or spinal elongation, and then spinal articulation. So as we go through all of the future Pilates videos, each one of these principles will be integrated throughout the whole video. I might not touch on it, but just try and keep them in the back of your brain and know that you can always come back to this video again in the future just so that you can refresh your memory, okay? I hope you all have a great day today, and I can't wait to work with you again in the future.